Final word daily. The match is over. 1-0 England. England cruise to 8-wicket win. We've got a new sponsor, Jeremy.
Not
A new sponsor.
Good.
Very exciting. This is Hypnobirthing. Adam's partner, Rachel, has set up a new business. It's in Hypnobirthing. If you've got any questions, there'll be all the details in the show notes so you can get involved. It's expanding their horizons. And hey, there's a massive overlap, I reckon, between final word listening and people indulging in a bit of hypnobirthing. Why wouldn't there be?
I
Everyone
don't
has
quite
children.
know what it is. What is
Well, hypnobirthing. You know what? Good question. One I'm going to get myself across very thoroughly over the next 2 weeks. I think it's very process when you're in labour and you kind of go through hypnotherapy to kind of ease your way through it. Because I've heard labour is quite a difficult experience.
I think we'll stop there.
We're going to stop there,
Yeah,
okay.
that can-
Cricket, do you want to talk about the cricket?
Okay, well,
We're gonna
why
talk
not?
about the cricket. I'm going to sum up today's play in 30 seconds. New Zealand arrived. They only had, well, basically England wanted to get some quick wickets, get the last 4 wickets done, and then chase whatever happens. Yesterday, Harry Brook was like, yeah, plan is to take the wickets quickly, knock them off quickly, and have a few drinks. There we go. Club cricket and
Play
international
9
cricket.
holes.
Why not? Exactly.
Yep.
Long story short, Darryl Mitchell gets 84. New Zealand finish at 100 and head. England lose 2 wickets in their chase. Zach Crawley gets another low score against New Zealand. New Zealand must think he's just the worst player in the world. It's a bizarre thing. He averages 9.8 against New Zealand now. Then Jacob Bethell, the star of the show, gets an unbeaten 50 to bring England to victory. Yeah, it was both a bit of a tame day, but also snippets of excitement. But I think
violence.
And violence. Where do we ultimately?
Hypno-violence.
Hypno-violence.
Yeah.
But then you do hypnotherapy, you get yourself through that easily. With Hypnobirthing, this is Hypnobirthing. Look in the show notes. Let's start with New Zealand. How much can be read into this result? Like we said yesterday, if you drop 8 catches, you're not going to win many cricket matches. But is there going to be call for changes going into the Wellington Test? Are we expecting to see Will Young return? What can they change?
What can they change? Oh, well, they can change Conway as a possibility.
Yep.
I think they could change because they already have Young within the group.
Yep.
And he has been an open. He kind of covers from 1 to 6. That's a possibility. You could, if you wanted to keep Conway, you could keep him there, and you could still put Young in if you wanted to, and push him into 3, and then slide everybody else. So Williamson 4 and Ravindra 5, and so on. Push them down. You could look at Southee if you wanted to do so.
Would New Zealand drop him on his farewell tour?
I'm not interested in sentimentality. I don't care what tour it is. He either does the job or he doesn't do the job. That really has nothing to do with it as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
It may have with lots of other people. I'm not questioning what he's done in the past at all. I'm just looking at what are the options for New Zealand now. And I've got quite a strong feeling in my bones that someone like O'Rourke is going to be much more difficult to face at the start. Because if he doesn't bowl with the new ball...
When does he bowl?
But exactly.
So if New Zealand wants to change the leg for their bowling attack for the next test, say Santner back in action from his injury, bowled obviously so brilliantly in India. Wellington apparently, I read this once, so you can tell me if it's right or wrong, a bit more spin conducive to spin.
Well,
they could move to a spinner and take Santner in for Southee.
Well, they brought in Santner, you're right. That's on the basis of last year when they played Australia, but that was in February, late February.
Yep.
And so that's very different. I mean, we've had lovely weather here, basically, haven't we? But if we play on pitches that we've just seen here and what we've just witnessed in the second innings, we see that better iteration of England where they are so dangerous. They just take it on and take it on and take it on. And you can end up with what it was, 10, 11 overs getting over 100.
Yeah.
So that's a slight issue for New Zealand. They want to try and avoid that, I think. And therefore the best option they would have at this time of the year before Christmas of making a lot more grass on the surface and a lot more water in the surface to last for perhaps the first 2 days, 2 and a bit days. And then they are basically saying, our collective top order defence is better than yours, England. Okay. And we will outlast whatever you do with us, with Carse and with Atkinson and so on, and Wokes, we will outlast you and we'll be better for it and bring our bowlers into the game more. You will not be able to attack us the way that we just saw in the last half an hour and so on.
So do you think, is there a feeling within kind of New Zealand cricket that...
And we'd have to improve our catching.
In my head, that just is it in its entirety.
That's the game.
Quick move is here in the final word.
There we are.
For those listening, confused what's happening.
Hypno movement.
The tripod got blown over. It's very strong wind. It doesn't bode well for Wellington, to be honest.
Well, There you go.
But this is
So that's one thing I would say.
one thing.
And I've mentioned a couple of players that they have a tendency not to want to change things. New Zealand, as you know, they're slightly conservative.
But is that kind of as a product of wanting to back players in? It's wanting to
Yes,
keep
they do.
players and allow them to have an opportunity.
Yes,
and that's
they
often
do.
to their credit, I would say.
But not when they're getting onto 36 and so on, and they're opening the bowling at 126 k's. I don't think you can do that. I really don't.
Is it at all likely that they do drop south? Because it just feels like a new kind of thing in recent years. You had Warner do it last year in Sydney, where people go, "I'm going to retire on this day. Please don't drop me before that moment."
See, there's all this sort of stuff going on. I mean, I'm sorry, you know, if you're a selector, do your job in the best way you can. I see it in those sort of terms. Will they drop him? Probably not. Probably not. And we'll see what we saw here.
We'll see the same team.
Well, he got 12 today, didn't he?
Two sixes.
2 more sixes.
He needs to reach 100 sixes, doesn't he?
Wonderful, isn't it? Wonderful, marvellous. Let's go for entertainment. But yet at the same time, I'm very interested in the way England, for example, because they bat so quickly and get more time to bowl the opposition out, why do they then bowl at 11.3 overs an hour? Explain for me that. That is inconsistent. For me, I don't get. New Zealand weren't much better. I will also say that, but that doesn't seem to make sense to me.
What, England bowling slowly?
Yes.
I think it makes complete sense. They take their time. I know it's a pain.
Well, that's what you want, because then you're being actually contemptuous to all the people who come and pay their cash around here.
Yep.
And I think that's not a good message to be sending. And it's time, in my opinion, umpires made some decisions. What decisions actually do umpires make nowadays? Even if it's they might occasionally give someone out, and if it's just touching a bail,
Go and ask your mate.
yes, we'll back you up. What do they do the no ball line? No, they don't. What do they have to watch? They don't have to do anything.
Right.
They've
I'd love
actually
to be an
become.
umpire.
You could put a cardboard cutout out there, hang your jersey over it, bowlers. That's all you have to do.
Right, so for Wellington, we're going
Sorry.
Conway out, Southee out, Santner in, Young in. I'm making decisions for you. We're going umpires out. We're bringing in the
Cardboard
death penalty for if you're below the
And then start
overrate.
moving players off the field. This
Perfect.
money stuff is no good. Can't find, because there's MOUs nowadays where the boards now have to pay for the players' fines.
Yeah.
That's no good at all. So there's
No,
no point in doing that. What we then need to have to do is that we have to take players either from the field, and umpires then have to let captains know you're 2 overs short, you're 2 overs behind, you're 3 overs behind, 5 overs behind. I'm going to take a player. He'll have to go and stand on the side of. Yeah. Now bowlers won't like that when they go from sort of 3 slips to 2 slips, 2 slips to 1 slip.
Exactly.
So that won't be good.
We're
So
solving the problems of the world.
And the other option, of course, is penalty runs. 5 overs, 8 runs and over. 10 runs and over. And I reckon you'd soon sort this out.
Nip it in the
At
bud.
the moment, the players are actually, they don't care less about the people who are watching. Not really. There we go. That's the end of my little part. You can carry on now. Do your little 30 seconds again. And we'll be finished. I know.
I
It's
can't
taken a
remember
minute.
doing it. Do you know who I forgot? Do you know I forgot to mention the 30-second summary?
What
Quite
was it?
embarrassingly.
Yeah.
Brydon Carse.
Oh,
He bowled well.
brilliant. 10 over.
He got
Yeah.
10 first.
Deserve it.
I think it's okay. We were
Okay.
worried about the wind here, but it was fine. We'll catch it. Brydon Carse, the first time an England seamer has taken a 10 foot in an away test match since Brian Sidebottom in 2008. It's the first time an England player's done it at all in any form of away test match since Monty Panesar 2012, something that neither Anderson nor Broad ever achieved. And yet here he is in his 3rd test match, being excellent.
Oh, he was good. I thought in the first innings he was good too, on a much harder surface to bowl. And I thought in that first to try and find a length, he's muscular, he runs in hard, he can bowl short, he can run wide and get the good angle. Got LBWs today, didn't he?
Indeed.
And sort of just beat the shot, getting batsmen to fall over slightly with the heavy head and picking up LBWs. So
I've got a statistic
he made.
for you.
Here we go.
Hope you're excited.
Hypnostat.
So, we can get all the statistics sponsored by Hypnobirthing.
Yeah,
It's
good,
perfect.
good.
So, CricViz started ball tracking in 2006, which apparently, according to them, is when cricket started. CricViz, the numbers?
Yes.
Brydon Carse, of seamers, there are 156 right-arm quick bowlers who have bowled more than 500 balls in Test cricket in that period of time.
Right.
Brydon Carse, I can tell you in 3 bites. I know the listeners will love it, maybe. Brydon Carse has the shortest average length of any of them in history. He's bowled the shortest test bowler has ever bowled for his average length. Not just like popping in the occasional short ball, but his natural length. He's bowling very, very short.
Yes.
And then, when he just nabs it a little bit fuller, he's gone trapping people like Glenn Phillips, LBW. So he's challenging people both off their front foot and the back foot. And it just feels, I feel like Brydon Carse is, we often look at people like Jacob Bethell or kind of Sherb Bashir or Josh Holder, these left field selections from England, and you go, wow, this is so bizarre, like how are they doing this? They're seeing these attributes and they think it'll work in international cricket. Brydon Carse is actually kind of the peak of that thought process, where you have a 29-year-old who doesn't have spectacular domestic numbers. He averages about 33 with the ball.
Mainly white ball bowler, hasn't he? That's
Mainly
where
been a
he's
white ball
been so far, yeah.
for England. But they've gone, you know what, we just like you. You're a big strapping lad who can clear the ropes ball 88 miles an hour. And
got a useful 30 odd as well at the back end.
And hit but he's averaging something like 50 or 60 for Durham in the last couple of years. They
That's
basically
about
go
6, doesn't he, or 7?
He has done. He's got 2 first-class centuries in the last couple of years. Basically, England have gone, we know what we like, what we see. We know this is going to work. And so far, they've dropped him into Pakistan and dropped him into New Zealand, and it's worked both in both places. But I want to ask you about a different player. Oh, fresh eyes. We've done Brydon Carse. We've got to keep the show moving, keep it fast, keep it brief. So there was a big drama arriving in this series when England went, you know what? We're going to pick Jacob Bethell at 3. He doesn't have a first-class 100. He's never batted there in red ball cricket in his life for Warwickshire. Fresh eyes on him. I'm guessing this is one of the first times you've seen him?
Yes.
What do you think?
Looked quite calm and collected, even in the first innings where he had to, he played properly, didn't he, in the sense that he played like a normal number 3, going in, ball nipping around, beaten and so on, got to 10 and looked, as I say, quite comfortable, played a lovely shot to the leg side, and this suited him ideally, didn't it, in this innings, and then you started to see the range of shots that he had. So, and he's got 50 now. I suppose, I don't know exactly how the Stokes' health, because he didn't complete an over, but if Ollie Robinson, who's coming here, I believe...
I don't think they're going to play him.
Oh, all right. Well, because I was then going to ask, who bats 3? Does Pope go in at 3 now? So what does Bethell? What happens to Bethell? But if Stokes is not there, maybe that's still a...
This England jigsaw, we just got a message just before we started recording from England. Basically went, he's got a bit of a sore, I think it was backwards, but they're not concerned. So they're like, okay, so he's all right. But basically Ben Stokes came off in the middle of an over, and he just seemed... He didn't grab his hamstring, which would have been a disaster.
Knee?
He didn't grab his knee.
Okay.
He didn't seem to. We've been told it's just a bit of a sore back, and he's okay. They're not worried about it.
Okay.
But England have a bit of predicament on their hands at the moment. Going back to why Ollie Pope did all the score runs, his theory that it went down well enough. It was fine. Because basically what's happened here is they've dropped Jacob Bethell in at 3, and he's looked excellent. He's looked very comfortable. He took the attack to Nathan Smith today, I think him for 4 boundaries in an over, and he's so technically kind of aesthetic and perfect. They go, you know what? We can keep you there. We've won this match. Ollie Pope, very proficient with the gloves. England could very well go into the next Test match and the rest of the series unchanged in their top 7.
They could.
Would that be? They
could do that and have
that's
Ollie
a good
idea
idea,
here as a backup.
Yeah, I think Ollie Robinson, you go. Lovely to have you over here, Ollie. We do need a backup keeper.
Ollie won't
Long
mind.
flight. Sit over there.
Sit
over there.
All right. Well, that's possible. Absolutely.
From what you've seen of Bethell and Pope in their respective roles, that seems sensible enough.
Yeah, that would be okay. I think if New Zealand are smart, as I say, I think they will make the next surface a little bit different than this one, and that will make it a little bit more tough for him. But that'll be, but New Zealand are going to have to catch him out. So there needs to be some changes there. This game will be remembered, I think, for first of all, the catching.
Correct.
And secondly, I think that the end, the way this game ended, and that it was such a dominant kind of batting performance.
I think New Zealand did something which is really silly in my opinion, where basically what you don't want to give this England team the opportunity to basically take the mickey out of it, because they do it. And so when chasing 100, what do England do? They're not going to go, let's get there in 30 overs. Ben Duckett's going to go, no, I'm going to ramp Southee immediately, basically. We're going to try and chase it as quickly as possible. Bethell and Duckett put on 50 in about 36 balls. And so even though for the first, 40-50% of this Test match, it was a kind of hard-fought contest, and New Zealand had the upper hand in both the first and the second innings, they're leaving here kind of having been thrashed to a
Yes,
certain
they have.
extent.
Oh, yes, they were.
And now
Well,
no one would have guessed before going into this test match with Ollie Pope at 6, Jacob Bethell at 3, and this settled or kind of very informed New Zealand team. We go into the second test match, and it's going to be New Zealand going, should we make some changes? And England going, actually, we'll sit tight.
Yeah, it is. It's an interesting one because I would have thought coming back from India that New Zealand would have felt, generally have a collective confidence. But it's all dissipated, I've got to say, since they've arrived here. And so the batting looks a little bit uncertain at the top. I just feel that New Zealand have got the concerns at the moment, and England are quite happy just to breeze on to Wellington.
Well, I hope New Zealand win in Wellington, because I just love 1-1. I think I do ultimately, in my heart of hearts, would like England to win because I'm more invested and know those stories.
Yeah.
But I always want a decider. Right, do the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
We've got to do the ad read. Well, we've got to do the ad mention. Hey, hypnobirthing.
2 seconds, or is it longer
So what
than
we're
that
going to do,
now?
so
It's 6 hours.
now because it's Adam's family, I'm going to do a little bit more time on it.
Okay.
To give a bit more care
Go
and
on,
attention.
go
And
on.
then I'm going to go 2 seconds, then we're going to freeze,
Yep.
and we're going to do the Hall of Fame.
All right.
Hey, look in the show notes, hypnobirthing. If you yourself or a partner of yours are pregnant, looking into how you're going to manage the labour, hypnobirthing. It's fantastic. It's all the rage. I haven't personally done it, but would I do it? Absolutely. Of course I
I'll
would.
be there.
I'll do anything.
I'll
for
hold your
Adam.
hand.
Thank you very much.
Literally.
We're going to hypnotise each other. God, this is exciting. I've also, you know what? We don't only have hypnobirthing coming into our lives at the moment. We're going to have some very special sunglasses from Glenn Maxwell for the second test. Which
Really?
we can put on. This one.
Oh, great. Well, we've had to turn this around all the time in order that
Exactly.
we can actually see which way we're facing.
And now we'll be fine.
Mm.
Anyway, hypnobirthing, Glenn Maxwell soon. We'll be back in 2 seconds if you're listening on Spotify. Hey, we're back. I've been told by a friend actually that he listens on Spotify, and depending on where he is in the world, it just carries on anyway. So he just said it seems a bit weird. I go, 2 seconds, we'll be back, and it carries on. Right, Hall of Fame. I'm going to go first, and I kind of gave mention to it earlier. Jacob Bethell, just the kind of manner of how he's gone to his first Test 50, and how it was manufactured towards the end that he was able to get to that landmark. So he really took the attack to Nathan Smith, him for 4 boundaries and an over. My favourite shot in cricket, the straight pull.
Yes,
It's just
down the ground.
It's so
Yep.
dominating. It's so kind of disrespectful. And then with England needing 9 runs to win, Bethell I think was on 41. He pulls a massive 6 into the crowd. Brilliant shot. And it was 3 to win. He hits a 2. Winning run, 50. Walks off half century to his
Well
name.
timed.
Well done, Jacob
Well
Bethell.
manipulated.
And unfortunately, Jeremy, there is a video on the internet that ESPN Cricket Info posted, which has my face on it, my name on it, and it says, I hope, and in quotation marks, it says, I hope Bethell doesn't play in New Zealand. And I feel quite silly now.
Ah,
So I thought it was going to be premature. I thought maybe he wasn't ready and they were going to mess
you
around.
like him that much?
I
You
think-
care?
I think he's
Wonderful.
I think he's
It's
excellent.
wonderful.
He's
Well,
absolutely excellent.
that was his top Test score.
Yeah, well, it's only
It was
second go.
also my one would be. There's also another top Test score today, and that was Will O'Rourke, batting at number 11 for New Zealand rather than up in the top order, and he batted for over an hour.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was, and I think he might have got to 5. He turned down runs, which
Oh.
was brilliant as well. Well, his partner Mitchell turned down his runs, and so he was batting for over an hour and was unbeaten at the end.
What a player.
So wow, 5 not out. That is fantastic. He had 2 not out before that was his. So they can't get him. We may open with Will in the second Test with Will.
Did you hear him as he left the ground? The PA announcer went, and a new high score for Will O'Rourke, 5. And there was a big laugh.
Brilliant.
And it's not often you say this, but I thought the PA announcer across the day of this match was very enjoyable.
There you go.
Liked
A
him a
big
lot.
hand for Will. 5.
Anyway, that's the first test. We'll be back
We're done.
from Wellington. It's brought to you by Hypnobirthing. It's brought to you not by Visit Victoria anymore. Dead to us. God, I'm not going to go anymore. Hypnobirthing. That's the future. I've been Cameron. Jeremy's been Jeremy. We'll see you and speak to you again tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Next week.